G'day and welcome back to the channel. I'm Ruben, and on today's episode we're going to be doing the rocker covers on this ep.8 here. We're also going to be doing the rear air oil separator plate and generally a good clean up on the engine. We'll also pull the timing belt off and give it a good inspect, we'll see. I did have a look at it up in Christchurch when we picked up the car and it looked brand new. But the buyer of the vehicle has said that he might want to do the cam belt anyway, so we'll have a good look at it. I'll send him some messages and we'll go from there. Awesome. Oh, well, sit back and enjoy. Check how much silicone I've been using here. I suspect that's factory as well. It's only got the silicone in the factory locations. Down here and around there and around here. It may have been replaced in past, but at 90,000 Ks the chances of this being the factory gasket are actually pretty high. Interestingly enough, you see how shiny and silver it is in here. And in the rocker cover as well. We like to think of Japanese society as so perfectly run, you know, the train's on time, everything just run like clockwork. So it's easy to make the assumption that Japanese cars typically have good history with their vehicle maintenance. But in my years of being a mechanic in New Zealand working on JDM cars and New Zealand new cars side by side, this is typically what you see with New Zealand new. Not a single oil change skipped. Everything in here pristine. If this were a Japanese car, I would have expected to see that burnt on brown staining from old oil. So it's quite interesting to see this. We know that this car has been in New Zealand since it was 3,000 kilometres old, so it has been serviced as per New Zealand standards, which is quite nice. I think one of the reasons that the Japanese cars tend to be so much more neglected is they're treated as commodities, I think. I'm not sure, but I think the tax bracket raises or something as soon as a car gets over 100,000 or something along those lines. Or there's just this feeling over there. As soon as something is 100,000 K old, it is old in Japan. As far as, you know, daily drivers are concerned, less so for the sports cars like the GCs, R32, you know, that sort of stuff. If it's just an everyday family car, once it hits 100,000 Ks, they're not interested. So quite often, leading up to that 100,000 Ks, we can assume that they just skip the servicing. They don't care. They're like, well, I'm going to be getting rid of it before 100,000, so I'm just going to skip this last service, save a few dollars, and then I'll flog it off to New Zealand, you know. So quite often, I think the servicing is just neglected purely because of that. It's a mathematical thing. It's not necessarily anything else. So if you are doing this job on your own twin turbo second gen, your EJ20Hs and your EJ20Rs, specifically the facelift version, there are a few things to note. When you go onto the Subaru websites to order them, such as Partsuk or Ameyama, you get presented with a little diagram, which I'll put on screen now, that shows you the different rocker cover types for this particular engine. Now, those 3 different types of rocker cover gasket cover just 2 years of engine, and you can split it up into the B-Rev and the C-Rev chassis. So this particular car is a B-Rev. So as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3 locators, whereas the C-Rev will have an additional 2 in here, possibly only on the other side, maybe not this side, but we'll also have another 2 up here as well. And that's basically the main difference. You can't really mix and match them, but for some reason for the C-Rev they've got 2 different options for the ones with the extra tangs. You've got just a straight square section of gasket like the B-Revs, or you've got a T-section gasket like the BHs. You can use the T-section gasket on the non-T-section cars as far as I know. So I use the T-section gaskets in my GTB Limited, which as far as I know didn't come with the T-section from factory. It might be just that it's a supersession, that none of them came with the T-section from factory, and that after the BH came out they released a revised T-section gasket for the second gen, but for some reason only the C-Rev. I don't know. Whatever reason, you can run the T-section gasket on any C-Rev second gen, but you cannot run it on the B-Revs because they don't have the little extra locator tangs. So the part numbers for the B-Rev, for the left and right, these are probably very familiar to Americans. These will be the same as the EJ25D, specifically the 96 to 97, maybe 98. And then, as far as I know, the late 98s and the 99s in America will be running the AA111 and AA110s, just like the C-Revs in Japan. But that's your left and your right there, the AA063 and AA062s. Now these bolts do have a torque rating, and that is, you tighten it till you feel the shank bottom out. That's bottomed, that's bottomed, 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 there we go, perfect. And since we're here, with the engine out and the spark plug so easy to access, it would be remiss of me not to. This is one of the other reasons I wanted to get the engine out. Not only because it makes doing this job so much easier, but you've seen the condition inside the car, you've seen the condition inside the engine now. Really, this thing is in fabulous condition. Really is a shame, or it would be a shame, to leave all this oxidation, all this dust, all this spider poo in the engine bay, like you see. You saw the state of it. I mean, it betrays the true state of the car underneath all of that grime. So, yeah, definitely one of the reasons I wanted to pull it out, so I could get in here underneath all of this stuff and just give everything a good old scrub.
I'm so cold. Yeah, my heart's sinking like a stone. Cold. I'm so cold. Yeah, my heart's sinking like a stone. I'm so cold. Yeah, my heart is sinking like a stone.
Well, I wasn't expecting it to work so well. That was just an old wives' trick. Vinegar. Easy as that. I'm going to coat it with something. Hopefully this stuff will work. It's an anti-corrosion coating. I think it's designed for aluminium, but I think you can also use it on steel. So I'll give it a shot and we'll see how it goes.
I'm so cold.
So the vinegar worked a treat on the top of the reservoir here. So I'm going to see what it does if I just soak this little guy in overnight. I think part of the trick is going to be to knock off as much of the rust as possible and try and let it penetrate. And the idea is hopefully the vinegar is easy on the rubber in here. I've got spares in case not, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Trouble to sleep now for a couple of nights. Need to rebuild myself to come alive. It all makes sense now, now that the lights out. It's a different world to me, it makes me feel down. Wait until the storm comes down.
Doesn't take long to start going rusty again. I'll slap some zinc paint in it real quick. Been having trouble to sleep now for a couple of nights. Need to rebuild myself to come alive. It all makes sense now, now that the lights out. It's a different world to me, it makes me feel down. Wait until the storm comes down. Until sleep comes and makes it alright. Waiting for the morning.
like falling down these lies again. This feeling that I have deep down inside. I just wanna be the one you need. And now I need you by my side. I can't sleep at night. Let's get lost in time, leaving all behind. I can't get enough of that
Man, even that's clean.
Take it easy, there's no need to scream and shout. As far as I can see, my head think it's time for you to leave in peace. As far as I can see, my head think it's time for you to leave in peace. Never mind, I'm thinking out loud before we draw a crowd. Reel it in, take it easy, there's no need to scream and shout. As far as I can see, my head think it's time for you to leave in peace. As far as I can see, my head think it's time for you to leave in peace.
Well, thanks for watching. I'm going to cut the video there to keep things interesting. In the next video, we give the engine bay the same treatment. Give it a nice deep clean. And then we get the engine back in and running, which is nice. And then in the videos after that, we've got this as the next project. I'm not going to reveal any more than that. Those keen-eyed will be able to tell what engine this is. I'm quite excited to start editing those videos, to be fair. So, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers. Now, you might have been looking at the carbon on that plug and been thinking, good God, how is he putting that back in there? But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Carbon buildup is meaningless. Simply going for a spirited drive would clear that up. No worries. May as well check the other one since we're here.